Let's get on to our first speaker. Our first speaker is Zane Jud. Zane is a senior at Fishers High School. He hopes to attend Washington University in St. Louis to double major in political science. He wants to pursue a political career as a way to change the world and hope to make it a better place for everyone. Please help me welcome Zane to the Spark stage.
Hey now, you're an all-star, get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a rock star, get the show on, get paid.
That's pretty catchy, right guys? Alright, so who loves coffee? Show of hands. Who had a cup this morning? About 2 cups. More than 3 cups of coffee. You sit in the back, I applaud you. So if you didn't raise your hand, you have some issue, because I think coffee is the greatest single beverage humanity's ever made. Now, this picture here is of a medieval coffee house. Now, it doesn't look like Starbucks because they didn't have Starbucks back then. But the goal of the coffee house is really to allow people to communicate for the first time. Before this establishment in Western Europe, people didn't have a place to relax, sit down, and drink coffee and discuss anything. And many believe that because the coffee house was established, it led to a series of revolutions in Europe, the French, Russia, and even in Turkey. And that's because historians believe that because people got a place to talk and drink this coffee and communicate, it allowed them to talk about their rights in the world around them for the very first time in history. Now this is very important, as the main symbol of coffee is communication. That's what it really stands for. And in our world today, I would argue communication is the single most important skill any person can have. If you can't communicate effectively with others, you can't build relationships, you can't do projects together or business together. And so I think communication is the single most important thing. And so we're going to focus on communication in schools today. Most schools don't really talk about communication a lot. It's about math and science and history. But there's a little interesting twist on this. So here we have the Greek philosopher Plato. Now why is he on the screen right now? Well, last year in my AP European history class for our final exam, we didn't have a test. And instead we were tasked with becoming a philosopher, I chose him, and then going down to our career and college academy to talk about our philosophy with each other. Now, although it was an assignment, this did set a precedent for my friend group and I, as every week after that, we sat down and just talked about the world around us. We talked about our political views, we talked about our philosophical views, and it's really talked about the world as a general whole. And so because our school was so focused on communication in the last couple of years, this allowed me and my friends to really grow together in this relationship and building community with one another. Now, when I say communication and talking, this is most reaction from people my age. They don't like talking with each other. And luckily, I love talking. I've always been a fan of it. But if I didn't, I don't think I'd be standing here right now. But if I did, there might be a small little puddle at my feet of fear right now. Just fear. But really, our school at Fishers High School focuses on communication, I would argue, more so than any other school. When you look around, you see a focus on the STEM field, science, math, engineering. And our school does that as well. There's also an interesting push for communication. For our final exams for the last couple of years, we've had a project-based learning. So our teacher gives us an assignment, and then we are tasked in a group to come up with a creative way to answer the question, answer the problem. Usually that's done in group work. Now, if we didn't have communication with this group work, nothing could get done. And I've seen presentations where they didn't talk at all, they simply texted each other and went on email and figured things out. And they've never been very good, quite frankly. And so communication plays a vital role in this. And like I mentioned, our school does a great part of this. Now, we also do things like math and science. Typically, when we think of school, you think of quadratic formula, the biology of mice. And what is the powerhouse of the cell? It's the mitochondria. It's the powerhouse of the cell. It creates proteins. So I am learning something. But our school focuses so much on communication, it really prepares us for the future. And in business, if you can't effectively present a presentation, if you can't pitch your idea, if you can't really speak to other leaders in the community, you can't really do much. You'll sort of be stuck in a hole. And so today I really want to focus on this aspect because in our society it's so digitally motivated with texting, Skype messaging, all these different aspects of technology. Communication oftentimes gets lost in the dust with person-to-person communication. And I think that's very important. It really sets you apart. If you can effectively communicate with another person, that sets you far and beyond a lot of other people in this ever competitive global market. And so communication is just this important in everything you do. So this brings us back to coffee. I love coffee, and most of you do love coffee too. But more so than its delicious taste, I think the sweetest part of coffee is the communication symbol, and that stands for so much more than a delicious caramel macchiato from Starbucks. Thank you.